What's going on, YouTube? Back again. I told you I'd be back. I really did. STL waiver 314 Justin, however you know me. Back again. This time I'm gonna do a frequently asked questions video. I don't know why I've never done that. At least I don't think I have. But yeah. Recently I was on my Facebook and I came across like this whole like folder of messages that like I never even knew about. And I've got like hundreds of messages of people like asking me questions, and I apologize if you've asked me a question and I never answered. I swear I didn't even know about this folder. So I'm like, wow, I got questions all the way back from like 2012, like back in my prime. But before I get started in there, just a little update. I'm still trying to get back to how I was, and this is a phone camera, so I mean, I ain't got the top-notch quality cameras that I used to use, but it is what it is. Y'all know I got waves. Y'all know that, I know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. So, still brushing with the red CQP. And this is, still got the Diane 8159. I mean, if you can, like, see, like, the rows right here, like, kind of, like, thinning out. So, that's why I need to get a new one, because if your brush looks like this, it's gonna like mess up the wave pattern. Like, it's not too bad, so I still use it every now and again, but yeah, it's not gonna give you an even stroke when you brush. But anyway, I got 7 questions right here, so try not to bore you guys and just get right to it. All right, questions I get a lot for whatever reason. What is shower brushing, or explain shower brushing? What's the benefit of doing that? Okay. That's a cool question. Shower brushing, if you have not known about it or whatever, is what it's self-explanatory. You take your favorite brush or whatever, preferably a hard brush, because if you take a soft brush in the hot shower, it's gonna be like brushing with wet toilet paper. It's too soft. So you go in the shower with like a firm bristle brush, and as the water is hitting your hair, you're just brushing, like you would outside of the shower. And what I like to do is when I'm shampooing my hair with, hold on. This is what I like to use, the Shea Moisture Retention Shampoo. It's got sea kelp, argan oil, and shea butter in it. It's my favorite shampoo to use. Get your hair real clean. It's natural, 100%. And, it just gives your hair a nice kind of like soft look and shine to it. And, but yeah, you just want to brush your hair as the water's hitting it. And it's just, it's just a good way to like train your hair, as that water's hitting it and forcing it down. The water's going to make it soft, and like the steam and everything's going to make your hair just kind of like give a little bit. So if your hair's like really hard or coarse or whatever, the water's gonna soften it up and allow your hair to be trainable, so it lays down better while you're in the shower. And after, if you make that a habit of doing that, you'll notice that your hair lays down easier. Then when you get right out the shower, you just tie it up, boom, boom, go on about your business. So that's the benefits of shower brushing. That's what shower brushing is. Number 2, plastic bag method. You're not going to see me without a plastic bag. Plastic bag method, if a lot of people don't know this, but it's basically the same thing as like the prison method. A lot of people confuse the two or like interchange the two terms, but they're more or less the same thing. Basically what you do with that is a lot of these methods that I talk about are for laying your hair down, because my hair is coarse. I can't just wake up, hot tooey on my hands and then just lay my hair down and go like somebody with like fine hair, like someone that's mixed or something like that. But yeah, the plastic bag, stick your hand. This bag's kind of dirty, so I'm not going to do it, but stick your hand in the bag like this, preferably a bag that covers your whole hand, and just kind of like rub it across your hair like you would brush it. And after a while, that's kind of like the same thing I was talking about in the shower methods. It's just going to help your hair lay down. And that's what you should do before you put on your do-rag. You know what I mean? So you put on your do-rag after the plastic bag method. It just gives you better, it just lays your hair down and kind of helps it stay like that. just to train your hair. Some people say it's good to like spread the product that you have in your hair out. I guess it can, but I mean, not really. But anyway, number 3, what's the best moisturizer? STL waiver, what's the best moisturizer? Well, I'm a biased type of waiver because I have coarse hair. I cannot say, oh, even though you have hair like Rico Suave, this is what you should use. I don't know. I can only speak for people that have hair like me. I mean, I have knowledge on hair in general, but as far as like what product, products are like, certain products for certain people is almost like fingerprints. You're never gonna find one that like works for everybody. You gotta find, a product that works for you, for your type. There are some people that have coarse hair that people with fine hair use. I can't use that type of stuff. And some people with fine hair use products that people with coarse hair use. You just got to figure out what works for you. It's hard to explain. Now, best moisturizer for me, you can never go wrong with like olive oil, coconut oil, African shea butter. You can never go wrong with that stuff. It's natural. It's good for you. It's got vitamins, and you can. That's what I can say. You can never. That will never ever hurt your hair, no matter what type of hair you have. Next question. How do I lay my hair down? Come on, man. You lay your hair down with a do-rag, Find a do-rag that works for you. Now, that is the question. Which do-rag works for you? Again, you got to figure that out. I'm not trying to knock, my bad, I had something in my mouth. I'm not trying to knock Wave Builder because they helped me get to where I am, but I don't like Wave Builder do-rags. They don't do my hair justice. They work great for some people, but for me personally, they just don't do my hair justice. But yeah, do-rag, stocking cap, both of them preferably, plastic bag method, before your do-rag, pomade, I don't, excuse me, I really don't care too much for pomade unless it's like seasick pomade. That's some good pomade. Or Wolfen pomade from Cold Label, again, another good pomade. Those natural pomades, I rock with those all day. But you're not really gonna see me tell you to go get Dax or nothing like that, or Sporting Waves or Murray's. Not my style. But yeah, those are ways to lay your hair down. Always make sure that when you're not brushing, unless you're like at work or something like that, have your do-rag on. You got to have your hair to be trained to do that. How did I get my waves to look like how they do? Now, this question, like I said, was from a long time ago, so my waves are not as good as they once were. I'm trying to get back to where I was, but basically, I mean, what I did / do, I mean, you gotta put in the work. Like anything good in this life, you gotta put in the work. You gotta always brush, just brush. Look in the mirrors, grab your little mirror and just, kind of get a gauge on where you need to work on and, things like that. And work on the spots that you need to work on. And find the products and the brushes and the do-rags that work for you. Find a regime and stick to it. Or you can watch, my Ride the Wave series videos. If you look at my channel and go to like playlists, I have a Ride the Wave series and I start with week 1 all the way to like week 7 or something like that. And I just take you through what I do at each step of the way, from a fresh cut to the next cut. So highly recommend watching that. I don't like to really self-promote myself, but just throwing it out there. Tips for beginners. This kind of goes back to what I was saying with the Ride the Waves. With a beginner, you're gonna have to find yourself a good spoonful of dedication. What I used to do to like make sure I didn't get bored with brushing my hair, put on some Pandora, put on some music, you know what I'm saying? If you're watching TV or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you do something to where you're taking your mind off of you brushing your hair, because I mean, if you're just standing here that gets boring really quickly. That gets boring. So, once you try, after a while, it's like muscle memory. You just do it, as a habit, brushing is a habit. So, but just do something like that. And don't, a lot of people, beginners, they like to believe that the magic is in the product. It's not in the product, it's in the brushing. Don't overload your hair with too many products, especially too many different products, because it's kind of like, like a young kid, a young baby. You don't want to keep on, like this day you want to give them carrots, this day you want to give them strawberries, this day you want to give them mashed potatoes, this day you want to give them smashed peas, you know what I'm saying? Because if he develops an allergic reaction, you don't know what he's allergic to. Stick with one product, use that product for a while, see how your hair reacts to it, and then switch it up, and then so on. Try to speed this up a little bit. Last one. I had a really good question that stuck out to me. It said, "What do you do if you like work 8 to 12 hours and you really don't have all that time to brush?" That's a fair question. Basically, do what you got to do. Do what you can do. There's no rule that says, oh, in order to achieve 360 waves, you must put in 40 hours of brushing every single week. Nobody would have good waves. Nobody. They have some good waves with no money in their pocket, but I mean, just do what you can do. You know what I'm saying? If you got 20 minutes here, 5 minutes here, just do what you got to do. If all you got is 5 minutes, use that 5 minutes for this day to work on the front. The next day you have 5 minutes, use that 5 minutes to work on the back. Just make sure that whenever you go to sleep, you wear that do-rag. Whenever you have an off day and you just kind of lounging around the house, wear that do-rag. I've always said the do-rag is like a memory card. It saves your progress as you go. So, yeah. Same old, same old. One last look at the waves. This camera sucks. But, yeah. That's it for me. Until the next time, like I always say, like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to talk, if you want a subject to be addressed in my next video, feel free to give me suggestions. I'm always trying to help. And I'm always down for taking in new ideas. So, yeah. This is Justin, STL Wave 314. I'm out.